What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new Shudder original movie that was released recently. And as I've said before multiple times on my channel, I'm a big fan of Shudder. I really like them as a streaming service. And last year, I feel like they had a really big struggle when it came to original films. Towards the tail end of the year, they had a couple movies with When Evil Lurks and Hell House LLC Origins. I liked the movie Influencer earlier in the year, but there was a lot of movies released on their streaming service last year that were not very great when it came to quality. And I love Shudder because outside of their original films, they get a lot of quality content that was released years prior. You get a lot of classics, you get all different kinds of stuff. But I really look forward to whenever Shudder releases an original movie, despite them not always putting out the greatest material. I still look forward to it. And this was a movie that I read the premise and it sounded fascinating to me, but the reviews were kind of all over the board for this thing. And despite that, I decided to jump in and watch it anyway. And the movie I'm going to be discussing with you today is You'll Never Find Me. You'll Never Find Me is directed by Indianna Bell and Josiah Allen. Patrick, a strange and lonely resident, lives in a mobile home at the back of an isolated park. After a violent thunderstorm erupts, a mysterious young woman appears at his door seeking shelter from the weather. The longer the night wears on, the more the young woman discovers about Patrick, and the more difficult she finds it to leave. She soon begins to question Patrick's intentions, while Patrick begins to question his own grip on reality. So, as I said, I read initial reviews for this. They were kind of all over the place, but after reading the premise, I was really looking forward to checking it out. And I thought this movie was awesome. I really liked it a lot. I'm kind of surprised at some of the lower tier reviews. This felt like a breath of fresh air in comparison to a lot of horror movies I've watched recently, where it's a very small, isolated story, much more about character interactions and atmosphere than anything else. And I think it's incredibly successful when it comes to being really unnerving and unsettling and anxiety inducing. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit about the movie today. So, the plot description sums it up really easily. You have Patrick, who's living in this mobile home in the middle of nowhere where he's got a couple of other mobile homes around him, and there's a horrible rainstorm and he's sitting in there drinking by himself. He gets a loud knock on his door in the middle of the thunderstorm, and there's this young woman standing at his front porch who says she was at the beach and she ran there and she needs to contact someone to give her a ride back to the place that she's staying. So he reluctantly invites her inside, and he starts asking her questions, and we're kind of uncertain to both parties' intentions early on. We have no idea who these people are or any real information about what they're capable of. And in the first 20 minutes, the directors are really trying to establish these characters and say, okay, we're going to make you work to figure out who these people are and what their motivations are. And the entire film is these conversations had between the characters and strange events occurring through the evening, and trying to see if something sinister is going on with either of these characters. So, as I said, I really liked this movie a lot, and I'm kind of surprised at some of the lower grade reviews for this. This feels like something that if like the A24 or Neon sticker was slapped on the front of it, people would be so excited to watch it and probably would come away loving it, honestly. I think there's a lot to like about this movie. For starters, the performances are fantastic. You really have two characters in this movie with some different people thrown in at random moments, but it's really two people that the film focuses on, and both of them have a lot of work that they have to accomplish, not only through the dialogue but through their facial expressions and the way they interact with the scenery around them. And I think they are both fantastic. What's really great about this movie is the way that it plays with the power dynamics and the way that it plays with how you as an audience member perceive each character, because their motivations are very cloudy at the beginning of the film, and as the movie goes on, your loyalty shifts in moments to where it drastically shifts in one direction at about the 20-30 minute mark, and things just get progressively more and more uncomfortable. And I think that a lot of that is due to the fantastic cinematography and the incredible sound design. The sound design in this movie is unsettling. There's creaks and loud thunder noises and people screaming and all different kinds of noises that the director incorporates to really kind of isolate you in this home and make you feel like there's no escape and no way out. And what I love is the conversations at the beginning of the film accompanied by those conversations that really make you feel trapped. This young girl early on is like, "Hey, can you take me to this payphone? Hey, can you?" And he's like, "Oh, it's raining. It's the middle of the night. We can't go out this way." And all the little things that he's setting up to be like, to try to make himself feel very inviting and comfortable, but we're not really sure what his intentions are. And then he has moments where he tells these stories where you feel genuinely bad for him, but then he'll say something that makes you feel really uneasy. And then the female character who's introduced, she'll say things and then contradict something that she says earlier, to where you're not sure if she's lying to protect herself or if she's not got her story straight intentionally. And I love that for you as an audience member, you're left guessing. The cinematography does an amazing job at creating a very claustrophobic space. This mobile home has multiple rooms, but it's very confined. And the way the windows look and just everything really makes you feel like you're trapped in a cage. And so early on, I think too, with the sound design accompanied with that, whenever the door comes open and you hear the storm outside and just like the expanse of the open area compared to how quiet it is indoors, with the exception of like hearing the rain on the roof or when we hear one of these screams or like a creak. And I love when there's that much attention to detail with how the cinematography is paired to the sound design to make you feel really uneasy as a viewer. I've seen a lot of complaints about this movie where they're saying, "Oh, it's not difficult to guess. You could really see where this movie is going to go." And I will agree, it isn't difficult about the 20 or 30-minute mark to figure out what direction the movie is going to go. But I personally don't think that that takes away from the experience and the anxiety and the unease that the movie creates. Even though I had an idea of what direction the movie was going to go and where it was going to end up, I was still invested. And even when it went that way in the third act, where I feel like it kind of wraps up in a very easy way, in a way that I feel like they could have gone more extreme with it, and I feel like they played it a little bit safe, but I didn't find myself unsatisfied with the experience. I think there's so much attention to detail in all of the little elements of the film to create something really anxiety inducing and uncomfortable. And when I watch a horror movie, I want to feel some kind of emotion like that. I'm not like a big jump scare horror movie guy, and this movie is devoid of jump scares. Everything that unsettles you and scares you is shown to you as a viewer, and you're forced to have to look at it, and you're forced to sit with certain ideas and themes that the movie is conveying. And to me, that's more horrifying than a loud noise accompanied by an image. And I'm really impressed with what the directors were able to accomplish with this movie. And as I said, you know, the ending of the film is a really easy way out. I feel like it was probably the simplest direction they could have gone, but it didn't take away from the movie for me. I think the film poses a lot of really interesting questions about trust and about even just being a woman in a situation where you're lost, and you have to try to find help in places, and how vulnerable can you be, or how much should you have your guard up. And there's all different things that you can unpack with these characters in this movie. But I think at its most simple, the movie is just trying to be unsettling and uneasy, and it does an amazing job at making you feel a multitude of emotions in a very small hour-and-a-half window. And I just love this a lot. This is one of my favorite things I've watched on Shudder in quite some time. And it's a movie that if you like art house horror, or you like slow burn horror that's all about atmosphere and environment, I think this is a movie that you're really gonna like. So have you seen You'll Never Find Me? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was fantastic. I really loved it a lot. I thought the performances were great. The cinematography and sound design were fantastic. And if you have a Shudder subscription, it's 100% worth watching. As always, if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.